So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. Where are you right now?
So right now I'm on the second floor of our Santa Rosa Hospital outside the Incident Command Center. It's been both a sobering and inspiring day as we drove up. So what you see as you come up Highway 101 is damage from the fire and smoldering fires still on both sides of the freeway. You get to our hospital campus and you pull into the front of the hospital campus and things look relatively normal. And then you come around the backside of the hospital and you see all the shrubs and the bushes and the buildings that were burned that are right on the backside of our hospital. The hospital itself became an evacuation center for others in the community. So on top of all the patients that we had to get out, I just learned that we had a number of people from the community, including board care facilities and general people in the community, that were decanted into our hospital. And so they were managing the inflow of members from the community coming here as a safe haven, at the same time preparing to evacuate from here the patients and all those visitors back out as part of the evacuation. Hard to describe. They have a video from the security camera on the backside of the hospital, and you can watch the fire progress from across the street, down the hill, across the street, into our back yard. You can see our engineers with fire extinguishers out in the, putting out hot spots. It just is, it's amazing what they went through and how calm they were and how focused they were on keeping our patients safe and keeping our team safe through that process. Because having participated in the incident command call that first morning, you could not tell from their voice what they had been through that night, and it's just phenomenal.
What made you stop in your tracks when you got there?
Probably the story from Robin Allen of what it was like that night and what it felt like when they knew that they were unable to leave the hospital. They knew they needed to evacuate and start that process. And as they were describing, at one point they had two big fire issues. They had a fire on the roof of the building of the hospital itself that they could see out the window. And they had fire that was starting to come up for the oxygen tanks and the medical gas tanks that are all above ground behind the hospital. And so they were dealing with this. I was trying to imagine, what it would have been like that night, but they were trying to deal with what happens if the fire hits our oxygen tanks and they all explode. And yet, at the same time, engineers are calmly crawling out the window and putting out the fire on the roof. We had a security guard that went over and rescued two people that were in our home for families that is on the property that was burned to the ground, and went in and rescued those people, brought them out to safety. So there's not one story I can point to, but I think that all of those stories combined tell a very powerful picture of what this team is. They feel thankful to be part of the larger system. When you look at what actually happened that night, we ended up through our transfer center. So the big players that evening were the team here in our transfer center in getting patients out of here to a variety of other hospitals, but that included hospitals in Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco. Little Novato Hospital doubled its census overnight, within about 3 hours. And so they tell you that whole support network has been phenomenal, both in the event and as we're dealing with the continuation of that event. I think the other thing to remember that's really important is this is not done. The next couple of days are still up in the air. And so I think the message that I tried to convey to the team here is, and Julie and I, is really that there's 50,000 people out there that are all rooting for this team, all concerned about this team, and trying to ensure that they are helping and supporting in ways that are the most impactful for the team up here. And so they know that they're part of a much broader family, and that family's all standing by and ready to pitch in. They are simultaneously dealing with their personal issues, but they are at the same time dealing with how do we take care of our patients, how do we get back online, and so that we can continue to treat patients in this community. We know that medical services in this whole area have been dramatically disrupted. And I guess also, I think a message that I really want to make sure that people understand is when you're in the moment for an event like this, adrenaline carries you so far, and then at a certain point, when things start to calm down, uh, you have to recognize that you're going to go through that point of realization, and our entire Sutter community needs to make sure that all the members of the Sutter family up here and our general community is going to go through a lot of they're going to need a lot of support over a long period of time.